What's up, everybody? This is Lou from TSSZ, and today we're going to be giving you a look at the Nintendo Switch's system software. This is what you're going to be looking at every time you boot up the Switch and go to interact with it. So if you don't have the console yet, we're going to give you a detailed tour of the system, how it works, what it looks like, and maybe detail some of its shortcomings as well. So right here on the home screen, you can see there's a big grid running across the middle of the screen, and these are the games that you've most recently played. It also tells you which cartridge is currently slotted into the Switch. So here you can see Breath of the Wild is my active cartridge in the system, and 1-2 Switch I've played recently, but I don't have the game card physically in the Switch right now. Running along the bottom of the screen are a whole bunch of icons that you can click on and interact with, the first being News, which brings you to a screen that lets you watch videos about upcoming games, get more information about your console, such as when system updates are available, or how to charge the thing, which is pretty important knowledge. And that's pretty much all News is, just kind of curated information about your Switch and upcoming games. You can take a look at the eShop, which is, quite candidly, pretty bare bones at the moment. The Virtual Console is not available on the Switch right now, so all you have are essentially the launch games, and that means that the eShop looks pretty bare bones. There's only 9 titles available for download right now, and as it turns out, they all fit on one screen when you look at them out here, which is kind of fun. Coming Soon is even more sparse with just 3 titles featured right now. Obviously, as more games come out for the Switch, that will change. Here we can go into the album, which basically is just a place for you to store your screenshots and, in a future update, video clips of your gameplay. You can see that I took a few of Breath of the Wild here as I've been playing it. No spoilers, so don't panic. And that's really all the album does. The controllers menu here lets you check on the battery level of your Switch as well as the current controller you're using, be it the Joy-Cons or the Pro controller. You can change how you're using either the Joy-Cons or the Pro controller just by hitting L and R here. So I can go ahead and do that at the same time and indicate that I'm using them sort of together in grip mode. You can also pair new controllers either by slotting them directly onto the Switch itself, or in the case of anytime you can't physically connect them, use the sync button on the controller to do so. System settings gives you a whole bunch of, obviously, system settings, and just to kind of pad this video out a little bit, I'll go through a few of them with you. Airplane mode obviously puts it into airplane mode. When the Switch is undocked, you can set the brightness, and also when it's undocked, you can set something called screen lock. So you will have to press the same button 3 times in order to wake the console up from sleep while the Switch is undocked. This protects you from an accidental button press kind of waking your Switch up and putting it in a state you might not want it to be in. Parental controls, obviously you get parental controls. There's internet options, which we will skip since I don't want to have my internet information out in the world. You can manage your save game data, which software you have installed, and the screenshots you have through data management, and a couple interesting quirks with this. Starting with the fact that you can use micro SD cards to expand the storage on your Switch beyond the 32 gigabytes that it ships with, but external hard drives are not supported, so you cannot at this time plug something into your Switch dock via the USB ports and use it that way. That may be coming in a future system update, I can't recall. Additionally, you cannot move save data for your games off of the Switch console itself onto an SD card or whatever other external storage device you'll be able to use. That stays explicitly on your console, which will likely be seen as a disappointment to a lot of people. You can manage which users are active on your console. You can create and edit your Miis right here. Now, in the Wii and the Wii U, the Mii Maker functionality was really front and center, and it was a big, part of the experience. That has been very much subdued and kind of sidelined in the Switch. You can also manage a lot of stuff about your amiibos. I don't happen to have any as I'm recording this, so I can't really show you too much of that. You can set your console theme. The default that it ships with is this basic white theme. I use the black theme just because, and I would imagine that customizable themes will be coming in a future system update. You can configure which notifications you want to come in through the system, including when downloads are completed and if you want sounds accompanied with your notifications. You can configure sleep mode, including how long it takes to put the console to sleep in different environments. You can change a whole bunch of information about the controllers, including setting calibration and testing for any sort of issues with the controllers that you have. You can set a whole bunch of TV settings, including burn-in reduction and what's called power state. So if your TV supports it, you can sort of connect the state of your TV to the state of your Switch, meaning if your TV's off and you wake your Switch from sleep, it'll turn on the TV with it. Likewise, if you turn the TV off, the Switch will turn off just alongside of it, which is pretty cool. And then a whole bunch of information about the system. So what you'll notice at this point about the Switch's interface is that it's very polished. It's also very minimalistic and incredibly straightforward and streamlined. Really, in a lot of ways, it's the polar opposite of the Wii U's interface, which was very, sort of bright and colorful and had a lot of graphical flourish. Really, all of that is set aside for the Switch. It is an incredibly responsive system. You saw, how fast it was to go into system settings. Boom. You're in, as opposed to the Wii U, which consistently throughout its life cycle took 15, 30 seconds to load the system settings menu. It comes at a cost, ultimately. A lot of people saw the Wii and the Wii U interfaces as more fun and bouncy and maybe inviting. This is much more of the sort of polished, minimalist, streamlined interface that you would expect from modern devices, and the Switch really fits into that mold much more than it does the Wii or the Wii U. There's no system music at all, really, to speak of. Finally, with the one fun sound effect in the system, you can go into user settings, including your own profile with my friend code there. You can see the friend list that you've curated. You can add friends through the primary method, which is, of course, the dreaded friend code system, which just won't seem to go away, as well as searching by local users, so you can find Switches nearby and add them directly, as well as users you've played games with in the past, and then a whole bunch of user settings as well. What you won't see is a way to interact with those friends once you add them to your friend list. There's really nothing that you can do with your friend list other than curate it. You can't send messages to friends. You can't perform party chat functionality. None of that is present in the Switch's OS right now. And as a matter of fact, that brings me to my biggest complaint with the Switch right now, and that's that the operating system really doesn't do a whole lot. Yes, it's snappy, yes, it's responsive, and yes, it's nice to look at, but a lot of the functionality you would expect from a system like this simply is nowhere to be found. As I just said, the friend interacting with friends is basically non-existent. There's no internet browser to speak of, so you can't, surf the web or do any sort of interaction with that. You don't have access to any sort of media streaming apps like Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Video. None of that is present, despite it being, available on the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One. Even the Wii U has very many streaming apps and opportunities for, general internet consumption. This is likely, in my own opinion, for several reasons, but I think the big two would be Nintendo trying to keep the Switch's focus as a games console first, and also possibly many of these features missing as a result of the need to get the system out in the launch period that they wanted it out. So, strip out a lot of features of the OS, add them back in over time as they're ready. This is all just conjecture on my part, but it wouldn't surprise me if this actually was the case. So there you go. A look at the Switch's pretty bare bones operating system. This is what, again, you'll be looking at every time you boot up the Switch, so get used to seeing it. This is Lou from TSSC. Thanks so much for watching.